Meet Sultan Kusen, the tallest man in the world. He is more than 8 feet tall, but due to his gigantic height, he faces a lot of issues, including not being able to walk like a regular person. So yeah, being tall isn't always a good thing, and if you're the tallest animal in the world, things get even worse. Being the tallest of all animals may sound like a glorious title, but that title comes with a lot of hardships. Well, the newborn giraffes are dropped from 5 to 7 feet of height right when they are born. How's that for struggle? Have you ever seen giraffes taking a sip of water? Yeah, that's how they look like. These long-necked animals have to awkwardly spread their front legs and kneel down to reach the ground to drink water. That's because even though a giraffe's neck is long enough to reach treetops, it's not long enough to reach the ground. Giraffes are generally around 19 feet in height, and their necks cover around 9 to 10 feet of that. So the body part below the neck is around the same as the neck. So we can understand why the long neck doesn't reach the ground. Well, this is a common problem, but there is one particular giraffe that seems to be the unluckiest of the lot. A few years ago, a biologist was recording a giraffe drinking water when he witnessed something really odd, even more bizarre than the awkward pose. Take a look at this video he shot. Do you see something unusual here? If you look closely, you'll notice a dark patch on the side of its mouth. You see, even though the giraffe is trying to gulp down all the water it can, most of the water going into his mouth is just coming straight out of that dark patch. The more he's going to drink, the more water is going to leak out. This giraffe can no longer have a sip of water like his buddies. Although the giraffe seems to be doing okay, an abscess like that is definitely not common in giraffes. It's highly possible that the abscess is a result of inflamed tissues inside the giraffe's mouth. Unfortunately, we don't know for sure what might have caused the inflammation, but there have been some speculations. You see, physical injuries happen all the time out in the wild. These animals are often under attack by predators, and things do get rough when that happens. Sometimes, giraffes also get into fights with other giraffes. It's highly possible that an injury sustained during one of these brawls might have caused the inflammation. Another considerable reason could be an accidental injury. Maybe this giraffe was having a bad day and it bumped into a sharp tree branch. Something like that can easily cause inflammation over time. Although we don't know what exactly happened, I like to think that this giraffe is fine now, happily chewing on leaves and living its life to the fullest. I know. While we all love a happy ending, sometimes reality has other plans. You see, living with an abscess like that has its own consequences. Usually, giraffes take about 5 minutes to drink all the water they need, but due to the abscess in his mouth, this giraffe can only drink 80% of the water it normally drinks. That simply means this giraffe would need to spend more time at the water hole to cover the remaining 20%. And if I do the calculations, it'll take him 1 minute more than the usual time. Doesn't really seem like a big deal, does it? But in the wild, 1 minute is more than enough for this giraffe to become a nice lunch for some crocodiles or a pride of lions. Lions and other big cats need to consume a lot of meat to satisfy their large appetites, so they usually target animals that would be easy to hunt. That helps them in conserving their energy. But if they get a chance to bring down a larger prey, they'll take the chance. Hell, they'll even dance on it. And a giraffe is a pretty good meal with lots of yummy flesh. Remember how giraffes need to kneel down in an awkward position to drink water? This is the perfect prey for lurking predators, because giraffes' kicks are their strongest weapon of defense against predators like lions. We've all heard stories of how animals don't hurt each other at the water hole, but in reality, hungry predators don't seem to care about these stories. So, this giraffe, taking longer time than usual for drinking water, is a perfect opportunity for predators. So, this weird hole in this giraffe's mouth can turn out to be the end of his life. But wait, if you thought a hole in this giraffe's mouth was unusual, wait till you hear about what happened to Zeppelin the Hedgehog. In 2017, a Scottish man came across something really bizarre on the roadside. When he got closer to take a better look, his curiosity turned into shock. What he saw was a hedgehog that was the size of a beach ball. Well, hedgehogs usually are really fluffy creatures, but this particular one appeared to be really swollen up. Just like you and me, his first thought was that this prickly rodent must have had too much to eat. Even I get a swollen tummy when I eat a 12-piece chicken bucket all by myself. But that didn't seem to be the case here, because the swelling on this hedgehog wasn't just on its belly, but also throughout its entire back. Just as any Samaritan who came across a puffed-up rodent would do, this guy rushed Zeppelin to the Scottish SPCA, where doctors noticed something horribly wrong. This prickly rodent wasn't really just a chubby guy. In fact, it was suffering from a rare condition called balloon syndrome. Doctors suspected that the poor creature might have been hit by a car or kicked by a horse, or maybe a human. The blunt trauma caused by the impact has severely damaged its lungs. You see, hedgehogs have a small windpipe that runs from their mouth and nose to their lungs. At the top of this windpipe is the glottis, which opens and closes as the hedgehog breathes. If a hedgehog suffers impact when the glottis is open, air simply flows out of the lung and out of the body. But if a hedgehog suffers impact while the glottis is closed, that air has nowhere to go, and it ends up rupturing the lung tissues. But that's not all. This trauma can also cause damage to the muscles in between the hedgehog's ribs. You see, the ruptures in the lungs and rib muscles act like a one-way valve, so air can flow out of the lungs into the body cavity, but not back inside. As the hedgehog breathes, air leaks from its lungs into the body cavity, causing the animal to inflate itself, just like a balloon. Here's a picture of Zeppelin's X-ray. Doctors estimated that it would probably take between 12 to 48 hours for poor little Zeppelin to inflate to the state he was found in. Although balloon syndrome wouldn't typically kill the animal, an inflated hedgehog wouldn't survive in the wild because it would be unable to roll up and defend itself. Now, you must be wondering what happened to Zeppelin. Is he still alive? Well, luckily the doctors knew exactly what needed to be done to rescue the hedgehog. To deflate Zeppelin and bring him back to normal, doctors made a series of small cuts on the prickly patient's skin so that the trapped air could escape. The holes in the skin needed to be kept open for a few days to let air out while the lungs healed. Now that's an intense procedure to save the life of a hedgehog. As for the patient, Zeppelin healed quickly and has been set free in the wild, where he is living his life to the fullest. Don't we all love a happy ending like this? I hope you're not crying your eyes out. Well, you see, both of the animals that we discussed probably suffered from these rather unusual conditions as a result of injuries. But there are also instances when an animal is born with such unusual conditions or deformities. In 2016, a Minnesota man stumbled upon something really bizarre while foraging through the forest. What he saw was a dead newborn deer curled up under a bush. But this wasn't just any normal deer. The man couldn't believe his eyes when he saw that the deer had 2 heads, but 1 body. You must be wondering, how could that even be possible? Aren't all living creatures born with just 1 head? Well, yes, all creatures are born with 1 head, but this particular baby deer was different because it was actually a pair of conjoined female twins. Knowing that the man had discovered something remarkably bizarre, he took it to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, hoping to get some answers. What researchers found while studying the baby deer truly blew their minds. According to the study, this discovery marks the first documented case of 2-headed white-tailed deer twins brought to full term and birthed. Although you might have heard of other animals such as cows and cats being born with 2 heads, the case of this baby deer is extremely rare. There have been only 19 cases of conjoined twins in non-domestic mammals from 1671 to 2008. Only 2 of these 19 cases were of white-tailed deer, and in both cases, both the mother and her children all died while the twins were still in the utero. So to put that into perspective, this was the first case of conjoined white-tailed deer twins being born in almost 300 plus years. The researchers also did an MRI and CT scan of the baby deer, in which it was revealed that the twins shared a single spinal column that forked into 2 distinctive heads and necks about halfway up. The conjoined twins even had 2 hearts, 2 food pipes, and 4 stomachs. Here is a picture of the CT scan that the researchers did. Their anatomy clearly indicated that a normal life would never really have been an option, even if the baby deer had survived. The study also suggested that conjoined deer were probably stillborn, but what's fascinating is the mere fact that they were delivered at all is a scientific first. Even though most conjoined twins in animals are stillborn or don't ever make it to adulthood, we would really love to see one make it through and lead a normal life if that's even possible. I guess 2 heads aren't really better than 1. Well, which of these creatures do you think is the most bizarre? Do you know of any other creatures that have unusual deformities or suffer from a bizarre condition? Do let us know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Well, that's all the time we have for you today. Also, like and share the video. Doing so helps us to make more such fascinating content for you guys. If you enjoy the channel, make sure to smash the subscribe button and turn on all notifications from the bell icon. That'll keep you up to date with all of our posts on the channel. Enjoy, and we'll see you soon. Take care.